welcome to Live Interactive English. Hello everyone, I'm Mike.
And I'm Sam.
And we are back with more deep sea exploration into the freezing depths. I guess we could say deep sea exploration, not really into the freezing depths, because we've learned so far that when we're talking about going deep below the surface of the ocean, the part we know, the part boats float on, when we go deep, deep down, there's a whole lot down there we don't know, right? We haven't really explored very much of it at all.
Yes, and so we learned in the last part that we've actually only mapped about 20% of the ocean floor.
Yeah.
And the ocean is huge.
Yep.
So that means 80% of this huge amounts of ocean, we have no idea what's down there or what it looks like.
We haven't discovered the giant cities filled with mermaids.
They're down there, I know.
We don't know where Aquaman lives. We haven't actually found these places. And of course, that might be part of the reason we have all these stories of Atlantis and Aquaman and all these types of things. But really, I just think there's a lot of mud down there, rocks down there, little animals kind of crawling around.
Volcanoes. Heat vents.
Absolutely. The wreckage of ships like the Titanic, of course, which is very famous. And many creatures, though, that also we've never really discovered.
Yes, and so part of that we say, well, people have been around for a long time. Why haven't we discovered more? Well, it was only in the 1600s that we were able to get an actual submarine that somebody could go down to look under the water, and it only went about 5 meters under the ocean.
Exactly.
So you can't really do a whole lot at that point. And then people thought, well, nothing can live past this 550 meters, so we're just not gonna even look.
There you
go.
go.
And they took a break. And so that's part of why we haven't explored so much, because technology wasn't advanced enough and people didn't really see the point for a while.
But of course, now we know that the ocean goes far deeper than we previously thought, and there are many more creatures down there than we knew about before. And so we're going to find out more about deep sea exploration now and into the future in part 2 of our article. So let's check it out.
Since the HMS Challenger's discoveries, we have developed useful technology to help us explore the deep sea, including satellites, human-occupied vehicles, HOVs, and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs. Satellites monitor ocean depths. HOVs can take a handful of people at a time far below the surface, and ROVs can reach smaller, narrower places. Both HOVs and ROVs have cameras, lights, and sonar, though they must be controlled by a ship above. But if we have this technology, why is deep-sea exploration still so tough? Well, at greater depths, temperatures are extremely cold. Everything is pitch black, and the pressure can be over 1,000 times greater than that on the surface. HOVs and ROVs must be built to survive this extreme environment and can cost tens of thousands of dollars per day to run.
All right, so let's get back to it. Last we were with the deep ocean explorers. It was, 1870-something? And the British ship, the HMS Challenger, had discovered like 4,000 new species living down around 1 kilometer below the surface of the ocean. Much deeper than they knew at that time, but still not too far compared to what we know today. But that was kind of the beginning of really focused and very scientific research on the deep ocean. It says, as we begin today's article, since the HMS Challenger's discoveries, we have developed useful technology to help us explore the deep sea, including satellites, human-occupied vehicles, HOVs, and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs. So yes, a lot of good science and technology has come into it, a lot of this with the computer age, and also with the space age, and that has allowed us to put satellites up in space, which can do a wonderful job of looking at big areas of the ocean and discovering things that we, with our silly little human eyes, could never see.
Yes, and so satellites have played a very, very big role in understanding more about the oceans and the whole world in general. And these are man-made objects that you send into space to orbit or go around the Earth, and they can take pictures, they can send radio waves, they can do all kinds of stuff to help us well, basically help us live now in this super technological age. We need satellites to do all kinds of things like talk on the phone or listen to radio or send all these things that are important. And so we have our sentence that says, satellites help us to understand what the weather will be like over the coming days. So they also can be used to check weather patterns and take pictures of clouds and storms and all that kind of stuff. And it's super useful. There are many, many satellites up there that we use, and every country uses a whole bunch of different ones.
Absolutely. Taiwan just put up some that cover, look at typhoons and things like that. So very good science, and also helping people be safe through these satellites and their technology. And I guess you could say a satellite is a vehicle, but we saw this word when talking about ROVs and HOVs, remotely operated and human-operated vehicles. A vehicle is a machine that moves and takes things from one place to another. Is a bicycle a vehicle? Yeah, probably. But I would say more things with an engine inside it. A car, a truck, a bus, an airplane, helicopter, train, boat, ship, things like that. Submarines, definitely. Scooters are probably the most popular vehicles in Taiwan. So would you say a horse is definitely not a vehicle?
No, I
guess a bicycle could be, but I think it should probably have an engine.
Yeah, a horse you would just say it's a mode of transportation.
It's an animal.
Or a beast of burden.
There you go. So they don't take horses to the deep ocean.
No.
They don't like it.
No, and so then we talk more about our satellites and what they do. It says satellites monitor ocean depths. HOVs can take a handful of people at a time far below the surface, and ROVs can reach smaller, narrower places. So places that you might not want to send people because it could be more dangerous. And so we have this word monitor. So all of these things are used to monitor the ocean we're trying to keep track of, because if you're monitoring it, you are watching it and keeping track of what it's doing. So you see this word a lot when you have people who are sick. So in a hospital or things like that, like our example sentence, it says, the nurse monitored the patient's progress. So you need to keep track of and pay attention to how is the patient doing, and are they getting better, are they getting worse, and what's going on. So monitor means to watch it, pay attention to it, keep track of what it's doing, and see if it's going to give you the results that you want or what the results might be. And then we continue on and it says both HOVs and ROVs have cameras, lights, and sonar, though they must be controlled by a ship above. So you can't just go down there by yourself. You need a big base ship to help all of this.
That's right. That's where the scientists and the operators will sit using kind of joysticks like you would use for a video game, lots of TV cameras to look at the pictures, and the sonar information that's coming from this thing way down below, but it keeps people safe, so that's a good thing. But if we have this technology, and we do, why is deep sea exploration still so tough? Well, at greater depths, temperatures are extremely cold. Everything is pitch black. I think you can't see light below 30 or 50 meters below the ocean. It gets very dark very quickly. And the pressure, the weight of all that water for kilometers above you can be over 1,000 times greater than that on the surface. So that's why you definitely can't swim that deep. And any machine that you make, basically the ocean is trying to crush the machine, freeze the machine, and if anything goes wrong on the machine, like the lights burn out, you're lost.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult place to work, kind of like in space, really.
Yes, very similar. And we had this word extremely. So extremely is an adverb that we use to talk about the degree of something. So if you want to say, we have all these types of different adverbs that we use to talk about how increasingly much something is. Like you might say, it's a little bit, it's really, it's very, it's extremely. So in this case, we were talking about extremely cold. So it could be a little bit cold, very cold, extremely cold. That's on the very far end of the degree. And we have our sentence that says, I was extremely tired after a long day of work. So not a little bit, but extremely, farther down on that range of degrees of how tired you might be. And then if we keep looking at our article, it says HOVs and ROVs must be built to survive this extreme environment and can cost tens of thousands of dollars per day to run. So it's not just the cost of building it. Every single day that you use it, you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I guess it's not really the machine. It's that big boat up on the surface, paying all the people to be there. Just getting out there to where you want to explore will cost millions of dollars. So it's not something we can do easily and often. There you go. Let's take a break and then we'll be back.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。大约在1870年代，英国皇家海军挑战者号在海底发现了大约4700种以前未知的物种。那自从这个发现以来，人们已经发展了有用的科技来帮助探索深海，包括人造卫星啊、载人潜水器和遥控潜水器。那人造卫星是用来监测海洋深处，而载人潜水器一次可以搭载少数人到海面下。还有呢，遥控潜水器呢，则可以到达更狭小的地方。那么载人潜水器和遥控潜水器都有相机、灯光还有声呐，不过呢，他们必须由海面上的船只来控制。那这时候 Mike 老师他就有提到 joystick，Joystick 可以用来指机器或电脑游戏的这个摇杆、操纵杆。文中的 sonar 则是指声呐。好，那既然我们现在有这样的技术，为什么深海探勘还是这么难呢？课文接着解释说，在更深的地方，温度非常冷，一片漆黑，而且压力可能是水面上的1000倍以上，所以这个潜水器的构造必须能够承受这种极端环境，而且每天的运作成本可能要花好几万美元。好，文中用 pitch black 来强调漆黑一片的，完全黑暗的。那单字 satellite 它是指人造卫星或者是卫星 ，vehicle 则是指交通工具、车辆。Sam 老师在讲到交通运输方式时，他用到 mode，M-O-D-E， 那这个字可以指方法、方式或是模式。再看到 monitor， 它当动词表示监测、监控或是监督。Extremely 这个副词则表示极其或是非常的意思。那这边3个重点，我们进入文法时间。我们来看第一个重点是数量加上 at a time， 表示一次、每次多少多少的数量，像是 She lit the candles one at a time， 她一次点亮一根蜡烛。那第二重点是 handful， 它是指一把的量或是少量。A handful of 之后可以接可数名词或是不可数名词，去表达一把什么什么或是少数的什么什么。例如 Only a handful of people attended the meeting， 只有少数人出席会议。那第3个重点是表示倍数的用法。倍数的说法是数字加上 times， 像 3 times 3倍 4 times 4倍等等。那2倍则是会用 2 times 或者是 twice。我们现在要表达说 A 是 B 的多少倍，可以用到下列的句型，一个就是用 A 加动词加倍数加比较级 than B， 那么比较级后面有时候可能会有一个名词。第二个句型则是 A 加上动词加上倍数as 形容词 as B 或者是 as 副词 as B。 例如 Their campus is 3 times larger than ours， 也可以说 Their campus is 3 times as large as ours， 他们的校园是我们的3倍大。好，接回到课文中。
Despite the difficulties, it's important that we understand the seas. They help control the Earth's temperature and release half of the oxygen in our atmosphere. They can also provide us with clues about climate change and weather patterns. Our future depends on learning more about our oceans, and the UN's Decade of Ocean Science is our chance to dive in and really understand what goes on below the surface.
All right, so as we have seen, there are many, many challenges to exploring the deep, dark ocean. But as our article says, it says, despite the difficulties, it's important that we understand the seas. They help control the Earth's temperature and release half of the oxygen in our atmosphere. So yeah, that would make sense because oxygen is very important.
Yeah, well, we kind of need it.
Yeah.
It's useful.
Yes, and so oxygen is the gas that we breathe in, and we breathe in oxygen, we breathe out carbon dioxide. I was going to say carbon monoxide, but that's something different. Not a good thing. But oxygen is very important. Again, we need it to survive. So do all the animals and plants. We use oxygen all the time. So as humans, we require oxygen to survive. If you don't have oxygen, you can't breathe.
There you go. And oxygen is a big part of our atmosphere. Not the biggest part. I think most of the atmosphere is made of nitrogen. But there is oxygen there, and that is the thing that supports life, keeps us alive, animals, plants, and all that stuff. What is the atmosphere? It's basically the bubble of gas or air that is around our planet. It gets thinner as you go higher and higher up into space, but down here on the Earth, the atmosphere is thick enough with oxygen for us to breathe and things like that. Of course, when we pump pollution into the air, we are polluting the atmosphere, and that, of course, is not good for us. That is not healthy. But the atmosphere is really that protective bubble of air, gas, and oxygen, among others, nitrogen, helium, that is around the Earth and keeps us all alive and protected from the rays of the sun as well. Protects us from radiation and all sorts of bad stuff out there in space. So, kind of important. The planet's atmosphere seemed to be very similar to Earth's. Ooh, we should go there.
Yes.
All right. They can also, scientists and the researchers looking at the life and whatever else is down there under the ocean, they can also provide us with clues about climate change and weather patterns, because the Earth is a giant soup of oxygen, gas, weather, pressure, rain, heat that moves around. And of course, the oceans are greatly affected by that. And also the oceans affect the atmosphere, or so the environment as well. Our future depends on learning more about our oceans, and the UN's Decade of Ocean Science is our chance to dive in and really understand what goes on below the surface. Well, yes, this is very true. We're not expecting to find Atlantis or giant sea monsters, although we might. But we will also be doing a lot of very, very, very extremely good and important science that will be a benefit to us in many ways we can't even imagine into the future. So what do you guys think? Would you rather explore the deep sea or outer space? Deep sea, deep space. Sea, space, space, sea, space, space, sea.
I mean, it's got to be space. At least you could see something.
What do you mean?
Dark.
Space is empty.
But it's
huge.
But you
can
look back and look at the Earth. If you're down under the water, you're going to see black and just nothing.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say the deep sea, because eating in space is a real challenge, and going to the bathroom in space sounds extremely difficult. So for those two simple reasons, I would rather go down to the ocean where my food will taste normal and my bathroom routine will be unchanged.
Okay.
You gotta choose.
Well, yeah,
you gotta have a way to choose. Yeah. Thanks, guys, for joining us. I'll probably stay here on the surface of the Earth. I think that's probably easiest for everyone. We'll see you back here sometime soon. Until then, all the best and bye-bye.
课文提到，尽管有这些困难，了解海洋还是很重要的。它们有助于控制地球的温度，并释放一半的氧气到大气中。它们也可以提供我们关于气候变迁和天气模式的线索。我们的未来是取决于对海洋有更多的了解。好，来看到单字 oxygen。Oxygen 就是氧气，那么 atmosphere 它可以表达大气层或是大气。那补充一下，老师们有提到这个 carbon dioxide 是二氧化碳 ，carbon monoxide 是一氧化碳。那么 nitrogen 表示氮 ，helium 则是指氦。好，那么以上就是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
Since the HMS Challenger's discoveries, we have developed useful technology to help us explore the deep sea, including satellites, human-occupied vehicles, HOVs, and remotely operated vehicles, ROVs. Satellites monitor ocean depths. HOVs can take a handful of people at a time far below the surface, and ROVs can reach smaller, narrower places. Both HOVs and ROVs have cameras, lights, and sonar, though they must be controlled by a ship above. But if we have this technology, why is deep sea exploration still so tough? Well, at greater depths, temperatures are extremely cold. Everything is pitch black, and the pressure can be over 1,000 times greater than that on the surface. HOVs and ROVs must be built to survive this extreme environment and can cost tens of thousands of dollars per day to run. Despite the difficulties, it's important that we understand the seas. They help control the Earth's temperature and release half of the oxygen in our atmosphere. They can also provide us with clues about climate change and weather patterns. Our future depends on learning more about our oceans, and the UN's Decade of Ocean Science is our chance to dive in and really understand what goes on below the surface.
Hey, it's KiWi on the street. I'm Kiki.
And I'm Winnie. Oh, by the way, Wendy bought us lunch, so that was a really big favor. Let's thank her. But how do we say that?
You mean in Chinese?
Yeah, thank you for doing us a favor.
I'm not sure, but maybe we can find some friends to help us with some translations.
谢谢你的好意。
Thank you, your
好意。
好意.
You're doing something nice for someone, right? What is that? The act.
Thank you for your something. Thanks for your help.
You know what that is? Yeah, I will consider that. Okay, so we could say thanks for your help, or thanks for your consideration, or thanks for your thoughts. Okay, what is this?
我欠你一份人情.
2,000 years later.
How about this? Okay, you want to help me? You can do me a
favor.
Very good. I owe you a favor.
I owe you one.
Yeah, I owe you one. Okay, so this we would say, I owe you a favor. But that was good, very good. Okay, so 我们今天学到了什么呢?
There are lots of ways to show gratitude or your appreciation for someone when they've done something nice to you. And there's more ways to say thank you. We learned some of them today, so let's check it out. The first phrase is, I appreciate your kindness. But you can also say to someone, I am thankful for your thoughtfulness. The next one is a little different. It's when you want to tell somebody that you want to pay them back for something nice that they've done for you. So you can say, I owe you one, I owe you big time, or I owe you a favor. And these are some other ways to show your appreciation to someone. That's all for translations today. KiWi later.